What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are back with the final practice report of the week for the Lions San Francisco 49ers. It's an NFC championship matchup, so let's get it started. Welcome, everybody, to my video. Glad you guys are here, man, and I'm struggling with my words for this video, man. I'm just thinking about how big this game really is, man. I've been doing this YouTube thing for a little while now, following the Detroit Lions, and not only have we never been this far, I've never seen them win a playoff game before this, but we're in the NFC Championship. We are one game away from the big one, a chance to take the Lombardi Trophy to Detroit for the first time ever, but also represent the NFC for the first time ever in the Super Bowl, man. And I just think it's something that we should all just be living up. I'm just grateful that I get an opportunity to watch the Lions in this position. I'm just fired up for this, man. It's kind of crazy to think that the Lions are here, and I'm happy that you guys are with me along for this ride. Some of y'all may be new. Some of you guys may have been here for years. Some of you may have been here since the first channel. And I'll say this, thank you for being here, because this is special. This is truly special, and I think for every Lions fan out there, regardless of if you saw them win a playoff game before, maybe you saw them win NFL championships, this is still a special, special run. It's won multiple playoff games for the first time since 1957, and again, they have an opportunity to represent in the Super Bowl for the first time ever. So this is historic. And, man, I'm just living it up, man. You got to take advantage of these opportunities. You got to enjoy them, because the NFL playoffs are not like the NBA playoffs. This is not a series. It is one game, and you go home. That's it. And the Lions are 60 minutes away from representing in the Super Bowl. It's crazy to say that. It's crazy to say that, but I'm just enjoying it. Now, before we get into this final practice report, of course, it is Friday, so we have some designations, but also there are going to be things that we don't know that we'll get a better sense of course, right before the game when they kind of announce inactives. Some players are still listed as questionable. We'll learn more this weekend. And then players like James Houston, for him, for example, we'll find out when the inactives are dropped whether or not the Lions feel good about him playing. But we do get a better sense based on where guys are trending throughout the week. Plus, we'll talk about Deebo a little bit. But before we get to that, couple of just other things that I want to point out. First off, offensive coordinator and defense coordinator positions. So there are really two obvious head coaching spots that are open right now. And those two spots are the Washington Commanders and the Seattle Seahawks. Now, it does sound like Ben Johnson is the front runner to land the head coaching job with the Washington Commanders, so he'll have a high draft pick. It sounds like he's the front runner to land that position. But with Nick Sirianni staying with the Philadelphia Eagles and with the Dallas Cowboys holding on to Mike McCarthy, we've seen a lot of these hirings already go down, whether that's Brian Callahan. We just saw Jim Harbaugh. We also just got Raheem Morris to the Atlanta Falcons, which kind of surprised me. I thought that'd go with Bill Belichick, but it didn't. Like Bill Belichick, or even a Mike Vrabel out for a head coaching position. Now, maybe just those guys don't land the spots and we get new names, or maybe those names kind of get recycled back into the mix. But there are really only two clear spots open for head coaching positions. Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson still have not been named for a spot yet. Again, it's a little bit difficult for them because they're going on this playoff run, but I do think that Ben Johnson's probably going to land a spot somewhere. And honestly, I think Aaron Glenn is definitely worthy of landing a spot somewhere. If you're a team that's okay with hiring a defensive coordinator that hasn't had head coaching experience and that's been on the defensive side of the ball, I think Aaron Glenn, personally, we went through the numbers. He's been a great defensive coordinator in Detroit, where I was another team and I was cool with that. I think Aaron Glenn is a great hire. I think he's a great culture fit, as well as not only being a defensive mind, but he's also brought a defense along every single year since he's been here. I think that other team, Seattle, makes a ton of sense if they were to go that way, if they were to follow up Pete Carroll with another defensive coach, but they also wanted a culture builder. I think that would be a great move for them. I think schematically he'd fit with a lot of the pieces. Obviously, they just drafted Devin Witherspoon, but I think he'd get a lot out of the talent that they already have right there currently. So, we'll see. I'm rooting for those guys, man. If those guys are looking for head coaching positions, I am rooting for them to get an opportunity for that next step, and then it's just whether or not they want to take that. But I think both these guys are very worthy of being head coaches. I definitely think that Ben Johnson, if I'm a team that's okay with, again, not hiring a guy with former head coach experience, I know he hasn't been doing this for a long time. I think he's the best in the business, though. I don't think you can get better than what Ben Johnson has done. And what Ben Johnson has done is, man, it felt like he could have left last year, and he came back. Honestly, same thing for Glenn, too. He's been getting interviews, but he came back last year, and he's like, yo, we're going to run this thing back. We're going to have more success. And as you know, man, when the thing is hot, you go in there, right? If you want to become a head coach, when it's hot, that's when you jump on your opportunity, because there's just not a lot of opportunities out there, and you get coaches that are recycled back through. It is difficult to land one of only a few positions in the NFL. So I'm rooting for both of them. Of course, as a Lions fan, right? As a Lions fan, I do want to see both of these guys back because they're great, and I know how great the future can be with these guys in the fold. I'm confident if they're not here that we can get next guys to step up. But the news that we have today is that Tanner Engstrand, our pass game coordinator currently, is in consideration to be the offensive coordinator for the New England Patriots. Now, we know they hired Gerard Mayo for that position as head coach, but they're looking for an OC, and it sounds like Tanner Engstrand, our pass game coordinator, could be considered for that. Now, two things to this. Number one, Tanner Engstrand, I think, would be a great fit if Ben Johnson were to land a head coaching position to step into the offensive coordinator position. Seems like the most seamless fit. The way that he's kind of followed along the tracks of Ben Johnson as he's been promoted, so has Tanner Engstrand. He follows kind of a similar journey to getting to where he is, and it seems like, I don't know, exactly what he's doing, but I can tell you what, it seems like it'd make a lot of sense for him to kind of be the next guy up for Ben Johnson if Ben Johnson were to leave. But if Ben Johnson does stay, then of course it could make sense for him to try to find an offense coordinator position. I'll say this though, if Ben goes, I think that this would make a ton of sense for him to step in as our next offensive coordinator. So I guess maybe that's just kind of waiting to see how that plays out if you're Tanner Engstrand, I would think, because that there's a really good culture that's built here. The front office is really good. You also know that the ownership is really strong with Sheila Hamp leading the way. This is a really good spot to be in. So I would think for him, based on also the personnel we have offensively, the consistency we have at quarterback, knowing who your quarterback is, your offensive line, I would think that he's probably waiting to see what happens there with Ben Johnson, but we'll see. And then also, again, you have Aaron Glenn, and we'll just kind of have to see where that shakes out. Washington and Seattle, I think both those guys could fit with either team, but we'll just have to see where that goes. Again, selfishly as a Lions fan, I'd love for them both to stay, but I understand that they want to take advantage of those opportunities. Now, again, before we get into this, also I want to show this clip. It was posted of Zach Ertz's one-handed grab. It's nothing crazy. They do these, in training camp, these drills. But if you want to get hyped up about Zach Ertz a little bit, that's the reason to do so. We dropped a video on Zach Ertz earlier this week, what he brings to Detroit. I thought it was a pretty good video. I thought, personally, I made it. I thought it was good. Something worth checking out. And then finally, this little bet line. I just think it's interesting, man. Shout out to Bet US, but they sent me this little prop over that is a Detroit Lions win plus 1+ touchdowns from St. Brown is plus 450 at this time. Now, these odds can, of course, change, but I think that's really interesting. I'm confident the Lions are going to win, and I'm confident that St. Brown will get one of those touchdowns. If we win, someone's got to score. Wouldn't surprise me if it's St. Brown. So I just think this is interesting. The only reason it's like this is because they're very heavy favorites to win this game. San Fran is. But if you think the Lions are going to win, I think this is one to maybe take a look at. Maybe you can add a little bit more than just betting the money line, say, for example. But I do need to hop in here real quick with an important announcement. You may have seen it on the community post, man, but I want to give you guys a key announcement for this. Now, I can't sit here and be like, yo, if you show up for sure, you're going to get a spot because it's a sports bar. So I don't know. It can fill up. It absolutely could. It's an NFC Championship game. But while we're still working out some of the details, as we know now, and I was told that I can announce this, so here we go. We are going to be live streaming a watch party to this game at a sports bar on Sunday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time with special guests. Now, the one special guest, I'm going to announce it. It's going to be my man, Speak Easy, is going to be joining me as a co-host for this. Dose of Dad will be there as well, and we're going to have some special guests likely through call-in, so you guys may not see them. But we're going to be live from, I believe it's pronounced, I could be pronounced wrong. I hope I'm not. I believe it's pronounced Ciccarelli's. Could be Cicerelli. I think it's pronounced Ciccarelli's. That is on Hayes Road, Shelby Township in Michigan. We are going to be live 6:30 p.m. Eastern time at that place. Now, if that changes, it will be in my community tab. It should be where we're going, but if it does change for whatever reason, just keep posted there. But that's where we're going to be. We're going to be reacting to this game. We're going to be live streaming, probably in a little spot of the bar. So if you do want to see us, we'll be there, man. We're going to be there for this game, and I wanted to give you guys that announcement in the area. If you're going there anyway, we're going to be there. So if you want to see us, that's where we'll be at, man. I am fired up for this. If you're just watching live on stream, that works too. We're doing this through Bleacher Report, so shout out to them for this, man. They're really setting us up, man. This is really awesome. So shout out to them. I really appreciate it. So we'll be live through them. So you can just watch the live stream. I'll of course, give you guys the links for that when that is all set up. But also, if you're going to be there, you can say, what's up, man? We'll be there as well. And, who knows? Maybe we'll even bring a fan over to be like, hey, what's up to the stream? So I'm really excited about that. Just kind of want to give you guys that a little announcement that that's what's taking place. Things could change, so don't quote me on everything here because there is a chance that things do change. But from what we know now, that's what's going down. With still some things being worked out, that's what's going down. I am excited for this, man. This is awesome. A little special stream Start off at the top, Jonah Jackson, no participation. He has been listed as out for this game. Again, KO'd, will likely step in there at left guard. Did not practice all week long. The positive is once the Lions win this game, they'll have an extra week before the Super Bowl, so they'll have an opportunity to get a guy like this back. That's a real positive for this. Khalif Raymond is also out for the third straight week. Again, we've seen Donovan Peoples-Jones in that position as the punt returner. That's a tough loss, not only for special teams because we know Khalif is elite there, but also as a route runner. I think these guys that are very physical, they can really body you up at the top of the route. They're very good at the catch point, can struggle a little bit with some of that quickness in and out of breaks. St. Brown will have to be impactful. Obviously, J-Mo, I think he's in line for his breakout game. I think this is the time for it. But also, Khalif can be beneficial there. So it's tough to not have him, but also keep an eye on a Jameson Williams end around. You will see that. I can almost guarantee it. Obviously, Khalif could have gotten that carry too on a jet, but I almost guarantee that J-Mo's going to get one of those carries. That's probably the thing that gets him going in this game. So just keep an eye on that. Hendon Hooker is a new addition to this list. Questionable, listed with tooth. That just sounds awful. I'm like, bro, if you're questionable because of a tooth, that sounds awful, all right? I'm going to be honest. I don't know. Maybe he got hit in the mouth. Maybe it's like, hey, I guess he ain't that young. I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's probably not a baby tooth. I'm not going to, act like I'm his dentist and knows what's going on, but that does sound awful. So I'm rooting for you, Hendon Hooker. I'm rooting for you. Is it? Are you taking out the, what is that? The wisdom teeth? Is that what this is? I don't know. I'm rooting for you, Hendon Hooker, man. Hopefully he gets through that. Hopefully you're not in too much pain there. Chase Lucas is also questionable. We saw on Thursday he was listed as no participation due to illness, but he did return today in some fashion, so that's good for depth. Seems like he's trending the right direction. And then outside of that, we're good to go. Alex Anzalone, he's going to play. We're going to need a big game from him, not only getting off of blocks, which I think is key number one, because it all does start with stopping this run, but also open field tackling from everybody. And Alex is in that mix. And then again, as you know, early downs, pass coverage, underneath coverage, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey. The challenge is real for our off-ball linebackers. That's what I'll say. I think we're going to see a lot of Barnes. I think we're going to see a lot of Alex. Malcolm could get thrown into the mix this week. Jack Campbell. All of those guys are going to be important. James Houston, third straight day, also third straight week, full participation throughout. Now it's just a question of, does Aaron Glenn feel that he is ready to go? That's the question. We'll know about that on Sunday. I do believe, if you're asking me, I do believe James Houston plays this weekend in some fashion. Maybe not a ton, all right? I don't think he'll be out there a ton. I also think you have to put defensive backs to match the personnel, because you can't put a linebacker on a tight end or Christian McCaffrey or Kittle on pass downs. But I do think that he'll be out there in obvious pass situations. I could be wrong, but I think he will, especially after last week. They're going to want a guy that can bring a little bit of heat and win with quickness, especially from the outside to inside. He brings that. Sam Laporta, full participation. He is set to go, which is awesome. Good improvement. Last week he took off. It was like, okay, there's Sam Laporta. So Sam Laporta looks good. Now you tie him along with Zach Ertz. Feel pretty good about that tight end position. Kind of still waiting to see if Zach Ertz will actually play this week. I assume that he will. I do assume that he will. They signed him early in the week, so I'm pretty sure he'll play this week. Full participation from Frank Ragnow after no participation the last 2 days. We know Friday can be a little bit of the lighter day, but Frank Ragnow is an absolute animal. He is an absolute animal. Dan Campbell said he's feeling good. He's good. So he said he was feeling good. We know last week he had the sprained knee and ankle, which is nuts. The guy's listed with literally everything on here. I mean, look at this thing. It carries over to the next part of the graphic. But Frank Ragnow, he is tough as nails. He earns that. Tough as nails. Frank Ragnow is going to play. He needs to be massive for moving on the interior, getting under some of these defensive tackles, getting under some of these blocks, creating movement, allowing us to get to the second level with much more ease, especially for running between the tackles. And finally, Josh Reynolds really improved all week, I guess, in a way, right? Full participation today. I was not sure if he was going to play coming into the week, but he's going to play, and that's big as well. Josh Reynolds, another guy that I think a lot of times can be overlooked. You start to think about J-Mo and St. Brown, all these guys that can win. There isn't many that have been better in terms of winning, especially against man coverage. But again, his ability at the top of the route, we know we love him on the deep outs, top of the route separating. He's won off the release this year. Josh Reynolds could be massive into this game, especially because their cornerback position, while it's solid, it's not perfect, especially Ambry Thomas. So there's pieces that you can attack there on this defense. They love to play with physicality, but Josh Reynolds can handle that, and also he separates pretty well. One thing we can say is that Deebo is probably going to play, right? Whether that was John Lynch telling us that, man, he's going to do everything he can. It's the NFC Championship game. We see him at practice moving around, catching some passes over his shoulder apparently. He's probably going to play in this game. Now, with that, it's about the shoulder for him, right? And he wouldn't play in the last game. He was taken out. It's about the shoulder. If he gets hit hard, if he gets hit wrong, where is he at with that? I would expect him to play. Maybe he doesn't get, kind of the normal treatment. Maybe it's not every snap. Maybe he's a little bit more of a decoy. But I would anticipate Deebo's going to play for the second straight day. At very least, limited participation today, but he was listed limited yesterday. Maybe it's full participation today. Probably limited, but he's probably going to play in this game. So prepare to have Deebo. Check out a preview video. We just dropped that. By the way, not only were they showing Deebo here practicing, but the whole team was also listening to Lose Yourself, all right? They were practicing. I won't play it because it's copyright. They were listening to Lose Yourself, and they started laughing. I don't think it was done intentionally. I just think it's a really darn good song, and they had it on the playlist. They're like, yo, it's just rolling through. I don't think there was anything specific about that, but I don't know. Maybe do you want to make something with it? I don't really think so. I think it's just a good song, so they were playing it. But anyways, that is the final practice report for the week. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.